The desolate research station hung like a suspended breath against the backdrop of Kepler 452 b's massive gas giant. Crystalline observation windows looked out over a landscape of fractured obsidian and compressed regolith, a testament to the moon's violent geological history. Inside the station's primary research chamber, the artifact sat motionless, defying every scientific expectation. Dr. Marcus Chen, lead synorchaeologist for the Interstellar Research Consortium, ran his hands through thinning gray hair. 23 separate expeditions had attempted to study the suit, and each had ended in spectacular failure. The first encounter had occurred nearly a decade ago, when a Zorelian research team first discovered the artifact buried beneath layers of compressed metallic sediment. Initial scans revealed a material composition that challenged everything known about adaptive technologies. Quantum-locked molecular structures shifted and realigned with impossible complexity, creating a surface that seemed to breathe with potential energy. But it was the suit's defensive capabilities that truly defied comprehension. The Zorelian team's first attempt to approach the artifact had been catastrophic. Their lead researcher, a biomechanical specialist named Krelax, had attempted to use standard synorchaeological scanning protocols. The moment his hand came within 2 meters of the suit, a cascading quantum field erupted. The energy discharge was so intense that it completely vaporized Krelax's protective environmental suit and left a perfect silhouette of ionized particles where he had stood. Subsequent attempts proved equally disastrous. A Centaurian research team tried using remote quantum entanglement probes. The probes were systematically dismantled mid-transmission, their complex quantum matrices unraveled by the suit's defensive systems. Each probe disappeared in a burst of coherent energy that left no trace of its existence. The Galactic Research Consortium had invested unprecedented resources into understanding the artifact. Preliminary carbon dating suggested the suit was at least 87,000 standard galactic years old, predating most known civilizations. Its composition defied current understanding of material science. Quantum adaptive materials seemed to flow like liquid yet maintain structural integrity that could withstand extreme gravitational and thermal pressures. Dr. Chen pulled up the holographic data from previous expeditions. Each attempt to study the suit had been met with increasingly sophisticated defensive responses. Mechanical probes were crushed by localized gravitational anomalies. Energy-based scanners were absorbed and neutralized before they could collect meaningful data. Even the most advanced AI-driven research drones simply ceased to function when they approached within a critical radius. The station's primary computer displayed a wall of failure reports. Red markers indicated unsuccessful research attempts, each one a testament to the suit's seemingly impossible capabilities. Some researchers had begun to whisper about sentience, suggesting the artifact was more than just a technological marvel. It was a living system with its own form of intelligence. Most intriguing were the microscopic biological traces found embedded within the suit's molecular structure. Fragmentary DNA sequences suggested the artifact had been designed to interface with a specific type of biological system. But no known species in the galactic database matched the genetic markers. Dr. Chen's personal theory was controversial. He believed the suit was a form of advanced selection mechanism, a technological filter designed to identify a specific type of biological intelligence. The defensive systems weren't simply random. They were deliberate, calculated, searching for something specific that no known civilization had yet demonstrated. The research station itself was a marvel of engineering, constructed specifically to study this single artifact. Massive quantum stabilization fields surrounded the chamber, preventing any uncontrolled energy discharges. Multiple redundant scanning systems monitored every microscopic change in the suit's structure. As the station's primary lights cycled through their environmental maintenance sequence, the suit remained perfectly still. Its surface shifted with subtle quantum fluctuations, a silent challenge to every scientific mind that had attempted to unlock its secrets. Dr. Chen knew their next attempt would be different. A new researcher was arriving, someone with a reputation for unconventional approaches. Whether she would succeed where countless others had failed remained to be seen. The suit waited, patient and inscrutable, holding its secrets close. The transport shuttle cut through the void, a sleek silver needle against the infinite darkness of space. Inside, Dr. Elena Rodriguez reviewed her research notes, her fingers dancing across holographic displays with practiced ease. She was an anomaly herself, a scientist who didn't fit neatly into any conventional research paradigm. Her academic history was a patchwork of disciplines that most institutional boards would have considered maddeningly unfocused. A doctorate in quantum mechanics from MIT, followed by specialized training in xenobiology at the Interstellar Research Academy. But it was her unconventional approach that truly set her apart. Where other researchers saw barriers, Elena saw puzzles waiting to be decoded. The incident that had launched her into xenotechnology research was still whispered about in academic circles. During a routine xenorchaeological expedition to the Epsilon Eridani system, she had successfully interfaced with a quantum-locked communication device that had resisted analysis by 3 previous research teams. Her method hadn't involved complex technological interventions or advanced scanning techniques. Instead, she had spent weeks simply observing, developing what she called a resonance approach, a methodology that blended intuitive understanding with rigorous scientific analysis. Her colleagues both respected and feared her unique perspective. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, her primary mentor at the Interstellar Research Academy, once described her as a researcher who thinks like a quantum system, constantly shifting, adapting, never constrained by traditional observational limits. The shuttle's AI interrupted her thoughts, approaching research station Kepler 452 bits gamma. Quantum stabilization protocols initiating. Elena's eyes flickered across the preliminary reports about the suit. Every previous attempt to study the artifact had failed spectacularly. Zorelian, Centaurian, and Andromedan research teams had thrown their most advanced technologies at the problem, only to be rebuffed with increasing sophistication. What intrigued her most were the anomalous energy signatures. The suit didn't simply defend itself. It seemed to be actively selecting against potential interfaces. It was a living system, not just a piece of technology. Most researchers saw a barrier. Elena saw a communication challenge. Her personal research had always focused on the liminal spaces between biological and technological systems. She believed that most scientific approaches were fundamentally limited by rigid categorical thinking. Technologies weren't just tools, they were potential communication partners, each with their own form of intelligence. As the shuttle docked, Elena reviewed her custom-designed research kit. Unlike traditional xenorchaeological equipment, her tools were designed to be responsive rather than invasive. Quantum adaptive sensors that could shift their own parameters based on environmental feedback. Biomimetic interface modules that could adjust their own quantum signatures instantaneously. The research station's primary airlock opened with a soft pneumatic hiss. Dr. Marcus Chen waited, his expression a mixture of hope and skepticism. They had worked together briefly during the Proxima Centauri expedition, and he knew Elena's reputation for unconventional breakthroughs. "We've tried everything," he said, dispensing with pleasantries. "Mechanical probes, quantum scanners, AI-driven analysis. The suit rejects everything." Elena smiled, a gesture that seemed to hold more complexity than a simple facial expression. "Everything you've tried, perhaps." Her first approach would be different. Where previous researchers had attempted to study the suit as an object, she intended to approach it as a potential communication partner. Her background in quantum mechanics suggested that observation was never truly passive. The observer always influenced the system being observed. The research chamber was a marvel of engineering, designed to contain and study the most complex technological artifacts discovered by human exploration. At its center, the suit sat motionless, its surface subtly shifting with quantum fluctuations that defied conventional understanding. Elena closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Her colleagues watched, a mix of curiosity and skepticism etched on their faces. This was more than just another research attempt. This was a conversation waiting to happen, if she could just find the right language. The suit waited, quantum matrices humming with potential, ready to be understood. The research chamber fell silent as Elena approached the suit. Alien scientists from 3 different research teams pressed themselves against the reinforced observation windows, their multiple eyes fixed on the scene unfolding before them. Dr. Marcus Chen's voice crackled through the chamber's communication system. Standard protocol dictates maintaining a minimum distance of 3 meters from the artifact. Elena didn't respond. Her movements were deliberate, almost meditative. She wore a minimalist environmental suit, its systems deliberately dampened to reduce technological interference. Each step seemed calculated, not just in physical movement, but in quantum resonance. The suit began to change the moment she entered its immediate proximity. Microscopic quantum matrices started to shift, creating subtle patterns that no previous scanning technology had ever detected. Where previous approaches had triggered violent defensive responses, Elena's presence seemed to generate a different kind of interaction. Zarelian researchers exchanged worried glances. Their chief xenotechnologist, Dr. Krelvax, muttered in his native language, a complex series of clicks and harmonic tones that translated roughly to another human about to be obliterated. But nothing happened. No force fields erupted. No energy discharges vaporized her protective gear. Instead, the suit's surface began to exhibit microscopic changes that defied conventional understanding. Quantum adaptive materials started to ripple, not aggressively, but with what could only be described as curiosity. Elena's hand moved slowly, not attempting to touch the suit, but to establish a different kind of communication. Her background in quantum mechanics had taught her that observation was never truly passive. The act of watching changed the system being observed. The suit responded. Quantum matrices that had remained rigid for thousands of years began to flow like liquid thought. Microscopic structures realigned themselves, creating patterns that seemed to pulse in synchronization with Elena's breathing. The research team's advanced scanning equipment went wild, producing data streams that quickly overwhelmed their processing capabilities. Quantum coherence is increasing, mumbled Dr. Chen, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces. But that's impossible. The suit has never shown anything remotely resembling adaptive response. Elena remained focused. Her eyes tracked the subtle changes, her mind processing information at a rate that seemed to match the suit's own quantum fluctuations. She wasn't just observing, she was communicating. The Centaurian research lead, a silicon-based life form named Zexeral, began to emit a high-pitched frequency that indicated extreme agitation. This violates every known principle of xenotechnology. He transmitted through the chamber's communication network. Microscopic tendrils of quantum adaptive material began to extend from the suit's surface. They didn't move like mechanical appendages, but more like exploratory neurons, testing the environment. Previous research teams had seen such extensions trigger immediate and violent defensive responses. Now, they seemed almost gentle. Elena's breathing remained steady. Her environmental suit's sensors began to pick up complex quantum signatures that defied current scientific understanding. The suit wasn't just responding to her presence. It was engaging in a form of communication that transcended traditional technological interfaces. Quantum resonance at 0.003% and rising. Chen reported, his voice a mixture of excitement and disbelief. The suit is actively matching her quantum signature. The alien researchers fell silent. Centuries of failed attempts, billions in research funding, multiple expeditionary teams, all had resulted in nothing. And now, a single human researcher was establishing something that looked frighteningly close to communication. As the minutes passed, the suit's surface continued to shift. Quantum matrices danced in complex patterns, creating holographic-like displays that seemed to pulse with an intelligence far beyond any known technological system. It was as if the artifact was reading Elena, understanding her, responding to her in a language that existed between technology and consciousness. Dr. Chen's final report for the day would be simple but revolutionary. First successful non-destructive interaction with the quantum adaptive artifact observed. Subject: Dr. Elena Rodriguez. The suit continued its silent conversation, holding secrets that had waited millennia to be understood. The research station transformed overnight. What had been a fortress of frustrated scientific endeavor now hummed with a new energy of possibility. Elena's initial breakthrough demanded a complete recalibration of their entire approach to the quantum adaptive artifact. Dr. Marcus Chen set up a dedicated quantum analysis lab, its walls lined with the most advanced scanning equipment available to the Interstellar Research Consortium. Holographic displays flickered with cascading data streams, each representing microscopic changes in the suit's molecular structure. "It's not just rejecting," Elena explained during her first comprehensive briefing. "It's selecting." The alien research team listened intently. Vixrel, the Centaurian lead, had his entire molecular structure projected as a holographic representation, his silicon-based form a stark contrast to the human researchers. Krelvax from the Zorelian team translated Elena's findings in real time, his translation algorithms working overtime to capture the nuanced complexity of her theory. Elena's approach was methodical yet intuitive. She began by mapping the suit's quantum signature against every known biological and technological database in the galactic archives. The preliminary results were staggering. The artifact's quantum matrices contained adaptive elements that seemed to respond to specific cognitive signatures, not just physical interactions. "Think of it like a hyper-advanced immune system," she explained, manipulating holographic projections that showed the suit's molecular structure. But instead of defending against biological threats, it's screening for a particular type of cognitive potential. Her team developed a series of increasingly complex tests. Quantum entanglement probes were replaced with adaptive resonance scanners. Where previous research had attempted to force understanding, Elena's approach was about invitation and communication. The first breakthrough came during a seemingly mundane experiment. Elena introduced a series of problem-solving scenarios, complex quantum puzzles that required adaptive thinking. The suit's molecular structure began to shift in response, not defensively, but with what could only be described as intellectual curiosity. Dr. Chen discovered something extraordinary in the data. The suit's quantum matrices seemed to be learning, adapting to each test scenario. It wasn't just responding, it was actively engaging with the cognitive challenges presented. "It's searching," Elena realized during a late-night analysis session, "not for a specific physical trait or technological signature, but for a type of cognitive flexibility." The alien researchers were skeptical. Centuries of galactic research had established clear taxonomies of intelligence. Most advanced civilizations believed they understood the parameters of cognitive development. Elena's theory challenged everything. Comparative tests proved revelatory. The same cognitive challenges that excited the suit's quantum matrices left other technological systems completely unresponsive. Zorelian AI systems, renowned for their computational power, failed to generate the same quantum resonance that Elena's approach produced. "It's not about raw processing power," she explained to the increasingly fascinated research team. "It's about adaptability, the ability to reframe problems, to think beyond established parameters." The suit became a collaborative research subject. Elena developed a series of nested cognitive challenges, each more complex than the last. The quantum adaptive material responded like a living system, its molecular structure creating intricate patterns that seemed to map out new neural pathways. Vixrel's analysis suggested something profound. The suit's selection mechanism appeared to be looking for a type of intelligence defined by its capacity for radical reimagining. Not just problem-solving, but problem redefinition. "Humans have always been outliers," Elena mused during one late-night session. "Our greatest strengths come from our ability to challenge our own assumptions." The research station became a crucible of discovery. Each day brought new revelations. The suit was more than a technological artifact. It was a sophisticated selection mechanism, a quantum adaptive system designed to identify a specific type of cognitive potential. As the Galactic research team watched, Alina continued her delicate dance of investigation. The suit responded, its quantum matrices shifting and adapting, holding tight to the secrets of its true purpose. Something extraordinary was taking shape, a discovery that would challenge everything known about intelligence, technology, and the nature of cognitive evolution. The breakthrough came on the 47th day of intensive research. Alina stood before a holographic projection that seemed to breathe with its own intelligence, the quantum adaptive suit's entire history unfolding like a living narrative. Fractal data streams revealed fragments of an ancient civilization's final moments. The suit was not just a technological artifact. It was a testament to a species facing absolute extinction. The original creators had been facing a cosmic threat so profound that their entire civilization's survival depended on finding a successor. Dr. Marcus Chen watched in silent awe as Alina decoded the suit's memory matrices. Each quantum signature told a story of desperate innovation, of a civilization that understood its own limitations and sought to transcend them through the most ultimate form of preservation. They weren't looking to save themselves, Alina explained, her voice soft with revelation. They were looking to save the potential of their entire evolutionary trajectory. The suit's origin predated known galactic records by nearly 100,000 years. Its creators were a hyper-advanced species that had reached the pinnacle of technological development, only to realize that technological superiority was a dead end. They had discovered a fundamental truth that most civilizations never comprehended. Adaptation was the true measure of survival. Saurelian and Centaurian researchers gathered closer, their multiple sensory organs absorbing every microscopic detail. The suit's quantum matrices contained more than just technological data. They were a living repository of evolutionary wisdom. The civilization had faced an existential threat, a cosmic event so catastrophic that it would eliminate all traditional forms of life. Their solution was radical. Instead of attempting to survive themselves, they would create a mechanism to identify and elevate a species with the potential to continue their evolutionary legacy. Alina's fingers danced across the holographic interface, revealing layers of encrypted information. The suit was a sophisticated evolutionary filter, designed to identify a species capable of radical adaptation, cognitive flexibility, and unpredictable problem-solving. They understood that survival isn't about strength, she murmured. It's about the capacity to reimagine yourself completely. The suit's creators had encoded a complex set of cognitive challenges into its quantum matrices. These weren't simple tests of intelligence, but intricate puzzles that required complete psychological reframing. Most technological civilizations would approach these challenges linearly, failing spectacularly. Dr. Chen noticed something extraordinary in the data. The suit had been traveling through space for millennia, silently observing, waiting. It had encountered hundreds of advanced civilizations and rejected every single one. Textural, the Centaurian researcher, transmitted a series of complex emotional frequencies that translated to profound disbelief. The suit represented something beyond technological achievement. It was a living testament to the philosophy of survival. The most shocking revelation came next. The suit was not just a passive observer, but an active evolutionary catalyst. Its quantum matrices were designed to subtly influence the cognitive development of any species that might prove worthy. It didn't just select. It nudged, guided, prepared. They created a seed, Alina realized. A seed of potential, designed to find a species capable of continuing their evolutionary journey. The research team watched in stunned silence as more details emerged. The civilization had recognized their own technological limitations. They understood that true survival meant more than preservation. It meant the capacity for radical transformation. Their final message, encoded in the suit's deepest quantum layers, was both a warning and a hope. Survival was not about technological superiority, but about the ability to completely reimagine oneself in the face of existential challenges. As the holographic projection began to fade, Alina understood the true weight of their discovery. This was more than a technological artifact. It was a message across time and space, a beacon of hope from a civilization that had found the ultimate truth of existence. The suit continued to pulse with quantum energy, waiting. Its creators had sent it into the universe with a single profound purpose: to find a species capable of continuing their legacy of adaptation and survival. Humanity had just been identified as a potential candidate. The news broke like a quantum shockwave across the galactic communication networks. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's discovery sent tremors through every major research institution, diplomatic council, and scientific academy in known space. Interstellar news feeds carried the story simultaneously across 1,000 different communication spectrums. The headline was simple yet revolutionary: Human researcher unlocks civilization-defining artifact that rejected all other species. Emergency sessions convened in the Galactic Council chambers. Representatives from dozens of advanced civilizations gathered, their collective anxiety palpable. The Zorelian diplomatic corps transmitted complex emotional frequencies that spoke of deep existential concern. Centaurian research ministers called emergency briefings. The Andromedan collective activated its highest-level information quarantine protocols. Dr. Elena Rodriguez became an instant focal point of galactic attention. Her previous research was dissected, her background examined with microscopic intensity. What made humans different? How had a single researcher succeeded where entire civilizations had failed? The suit's revelation challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence and evolutionary potential. Most advanced civilizations viewed themselves as the pinnacle of cognitive development. They had sophisticated technologies, complex social structures, and what they believed to be unparalleled problem-solving capabilities. But the artifact told a different story. Quantum analysis centers across multiple star systems worked overtime, attempting to replicate Elena's breakthrough. Each attempt failed. The suit remained responsive only to her specific approach, a combination of intuitive thinking, quantum adaptive reasoning, and an almost supernatural capacity for cognitive reframing. Dr. Marcus Chen found himself at the center of an unprecedented media storm. Press conferences became increasingly complex diplomatic negotiations. Alien researchers demanded access to Elena's research, to the suit, to any potential explanation for this extraordinary event. "It's not about what we know," Elena explained during a pivotal galactic broadcast. "It's about our capacity to not know, our ability to be comfortable with uncertainty, to reimagine our understanding completely." The philosophical implications were staggering. The suit represented more than a technological artifact. It was a living testament to a form of intelligence that transcended traditional understanding. Most civilizations approached problem-solving through established methodological frameworks. Humans seemed to operate differently, with an almost chaotic creativity that defied conventional logic. Zorelian research teams began intense studies of human cognitive patterns. They discovered something profoundly unsettling. Where their own problem-solving approaches were linear and predictable, human cognitive processes seemed to operate more like quantum systems, simultaneously existing in multiple potential states. The Centaurian Collective released a controversial research paper suggesting that human adaptability might represent an entirely new form of intelligence. Their analysts noted humans' unique capacity to simultaneously hold contradictory ideas, to learn from failure, and to generate solutions from seemingly impossible constraints. Diplomatic tensions rose across multiple star systems. Some viewed the discovery as a potential threat. If humans possessed a unique cognitive potential, what did that mean for existing galactic power structures? Elena became an unexpected ambassador. Her approach wasn't about proving human superiority, but about understanding the deeper mechanisms of adaptive intelligence. She spoke of humanity's historical capacity for reinvention, of technological leaps that seemed to emerge from pure creative imagination. The suit remained the ultimate proof. A technological artifact created by an ancient civilization had chosen humanity as its potential evolutionary successor, not through military might, not through technological superiority, but through a fundamental capacity for adaptive thinking. Research institutions scrambled to understand the deeper implications. The suit wasn't just a piece of technology. It was a sophisticated evolutionary filter that had evaluated countless civilizations and found something unique in humanity's approach to existence. Dr. Chen summarized the discovery in a statement that would be quoted across multiple star systems. "We are not the strongest. We are not the most technologically advanced, but we might be the most adaptable." As the galactic community watched and waited, the quantum adaptive suit continued its silent communication with Elena, a bridge between an ancient civilization and humanity's potential future, holding secrets that would reshape understanding of intelligence itself. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for a species capable of truly unexpected solutions. The integration chamber glowed with quantum adaptive energy, its walls constructed from materials specifically designed to contain and monitor the unprecedented interaction about to unfold. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center, her environmental suit replaced by a minimalist interface network that would facilitate the most complex technological merger in human history. Dr. Marcus Chen's voice crackled through the communication systems. "Quantum stabilization fields at maximum. All external interference protocols engage." The suit responded before Elena could move. Quantum matrices began to flow like liquid thought, extending microscopic tendrils that seemed to breathe with an intelligence far beyond mechanical understanding. Where previous attempts at integration had resulted in catastrophic energy discharges, this interaction promised something entirely different. Alien research teams from across the galaxy watched through quantum-encrypted transmission channels. Zorelian, Centaurian, and Andromedan scientists held collective breath as the integration began. Elena's consciousness expanded. It wasn't a simple technological interface. The suit's quantum matrices created a symbiotic connection that transcended traditional understanding of human technology interaction. Memories of the artifact's creators flooded her mind, not as simple data, but as lived experiences that stretched across millennia of evolutionary potential. She saw the universe differently. Quantum pathways opened in her mind, revealing complex problem-solving capabilities that existed beyond linear thought. The suit wasn't just adapting to her. It was teaching her, showing her the intricate dance of possibility that existed between potential states of existence. Dr. Chen monitored the integration, his hands moving frantically across quantum adaptive interfaces. "Quantum coherence increasing," he reported, "but nothing like we've ever seen before." The research station's systems began to respond to Elena's new state of consciousness. Quantum-locked computational matrices that had remained static for years suddenly began to shift and adapt. It was as if the entire technological infrastructure was learning, responding to the new type of intelligence emerging before their eyes. Elena's body began to change, not physically, but in ways that defied conventional understanding of biological potential. Her neural pathways expanded, creating connections that suggested a radical new understanding of human cognitive capability. The suit's creators had designed more than a technological artifact. They had created an evolutionary catalyst, a mechanism for unlocking potential that most species never comprehended. Zexrel, the Centaurian lead researcher, transmitted a complex emotional frequency that translated roughly to absolute existential terror mixed with profound wonder. Humanity was no longer just another species in the galactic catalog. Something fundamental was changing. Elena spoke, though not with her voice. The communication was quantum adaptive, a language that existed between thought and possibility. "We've been looking at evolution wrong," the transmission suggested. "It's not about survival. It's about potential." The research chamber filled with quantum energy that defied conventional measurement. Scanning systems overloaded, their computational matrices unable to process the level of information being generated. Dr. Chen watched in awe as Elena's consciousness began to interface with the broader technological infrastructure. Computer systems across the research station began to adapt, creating new computational pathways that suggested a fundamentally different approach to problem solving. The integration lasted hours, though time seemed to lose meaning. Quantum matrices danced between Alina's consciousness and the suit's adaptive systems, creating a symbiotic relationship that redefined the boundaries between biological and technological intelligence. When the process completed, Alina was both unchanged and completely transformed. The suit had become more than a technological artifact. It was now a living extension of human potential, a bridge between humanity's current state and its evolutionary future. Alien research teams struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. This was not technological augmentation. This was a fundamental reimagining of intelligence itself. Dr. Chen's final report would be simple yet profound. First successful full quantum adaptive integration achieved. Subject: Dr. Elena Rodriguez. Result: undefined. The universe watched and waited, sensing that something extraordinary had just occurred. The world changed in ways no one could have predicted. Dr. Elena Rodriguez became more than a researcher. She was a living bridge between humanity's past and its potential future. The quantum adaptive integration transformed scientific understanding across every known field of study. Technological institutes, research academies, and academic centers worldwide began to reshape their entire approach to learning and innovation. Humanity's perspective shifted fundamentally. The suit's legacy wasn't about technological superiority. It was about cognitive flexibility, the ability to reimagine everything at a moment's notice. Educational systems worldwide underwent radical transformation. Traditional linear learning gave way to adaptive cognitive training that emphasized creativity, uncertainty, and the ability to completely reframe problems. Governments and research institutions struggled to understand the full implications of Alina's discovery. The quantum adaptive technology suggested possibilities that challenged every existing framework of human potential. Dr. Marcus Chen led a new interdisciplinary research initiative dedicated to understanding the suit's principles. Their first breakthrough came unexpectedly. The adaptive technologies developed from their research began solving complex global challenges: climate restoration, energy production, medical breakthrough, with solutions that seemed to emerge from pure creative potential. Alien civilizations watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. The Galactic Research Consortium convened emergency sessions, attempting to understand how a single species could represent such a profound evolutionary leap. Alina continued her work, though her approach to research had become something entirely different. She wasn't just studying technology anymore. She was exploring the boundaries of possibility itself. Her lectures and research presentations became legendary, drawing audiences from across multiple star systems. Humanity's greatest strength, she would explain, is our capacity to be wrong, to fail, to completely reimagine our understanding. The quantum adaptive suit remained at the core of continued research, but it was no longer just an artifact. It had become a living testament to the potential of adaptive intelligence. Research teams discovered that the suit's quantum matrices continued to evolve, creating new possibilities that defied conventional scientific understanding. Global technological development accelerated at an unprecedented rate. Problems that had seemed insurmountable began to find unexpected solutions. Climate restoration projects reversed environmental damage. Medical research developed treatments that seemed to anticipate disease before it could manifest. Energy production transformed, creating systems that adapted to environmental conditions in real time. Texrel, the lead Centaurian researcher, summarized the discovery in a groundbreaking communication. Humanity represents not a species, but a state of potential, a living, breathing quantum system of possibility. The suit's original creators, the ancient civilization that had sent this technological seed into the universe, had understood something profound. Survival wasn't about resistance. It was about adaptation, about the capacity to completely reimagine oneself in the face of any challenge. Alina's integration with the suit had opened a doorway to a new understanding of intelligence. It wasn't about processing power or technological complexity. It was about the ability to exist in multiple potential states simultaneously, to learn from failure, to see opportunity in uncertainty. Research centers around the world began developing new educational and technological approaches based on the suit's principles. Quantum adaptive learning systems emerged, creating educational experiences that were living, breathing entities that could adapt to individual learning potentials. The global perspective shifted. Humanity was no longer just another species competing for survival. They had become something else, a potential evolutionary catalyst, a living system of adaptive intelligence. Dr. Chen reflected on the discovery during a pivotal interview. We're not the strongest. We're not the most technologically advanced. But we might be the most adaptable. The quantum adaptive suit remained a symbol of possibility, a testament to a civilization that had understood the most profound truth of existence, that true survival comes from the capacity to completely reimagine oneself. As humanity looked to the stars, they understood something fundamental had changed. They were no longer just observers of the universe. They had become its most unexpected potential.